Hello and welcome to the first video of the FM Copycat YouTube channel. In this video, we'll be looking at the tactics employed by the Arsenal Invincibles side of the 2003-2004 season. As you can see, I've chosen the Manchester United squad to test out the tactic, as it has a pretty good balance for the roles we'll be looking to incorporate. First of all, we'll be taking a look at some key characteristics that are vital to replicating the way that Arsenal went about their game in that season. First up, and probably the key part of creating this tactic, is the counter-attacking philosophy that the Invincibles employed. The Arsenal side of the 2004 season were far removed from the team of today. To look at the lineups, both contain a number of exceptional players. But in 2004, Arsenal were more focused on taking advantage of the pace available to them. They defended with a deeper defensive line, which the counter strategy on Football Manager provides its default. Second of all, when Arsenal did break, more often than not, they did so down the left, where Henry, Perez, and an attack-minded Ashley Cole were more adept at maintaining control of the ball than their counterparts on the right. That's something we'll be looking to implement throughout a combination of team instructions and player roles. So let's take a look at the tactic itself. As you can see, we've got a standard 4-4-2. Before we look at the specific roles though performed by each player, let's check the team instructions. For the most part, the counter strategy itself gives us a backbone that the rest of the tactic will rely on. By default, the tempo for the counter strategy is quite low, so that's been bumped up to replicate the urgency that the Invincibles played with. The team shape has been set to fluid. This should ensure that all of the players get involved in the transitional phase of play and creates the context for the player roles that we'll set later. Depending on whether you're playing a topside or not, you can switch between the default level for closing down and the increased level of pressing that this tactic uses for games against teams outside of that top 3 or 4 sides in the league. In order to take advantage of the attacking threat offered by the left side of the team is instructed to focus attacks down the left. They're also encouraged to pass the ball into space. If you watch some of the games played by Arsenal that season, it quickly becomes apparent how often they tried to play that killer final ball, so the pass the ball into space instruction should help us imitate that. When setting player roles and individual instructions, it's vital to take into account the context created through the team instructions. The fluid team shape that we said earlier should ensure that more of our players attempt to get forward when the team counter. It's for this reason that I don't believe it's important to implement any wingback roles for the Cole or Lauren role in this tactic. Having seen hours of the tactic at work, both fullback roles seem to work just fine for what we're looking for. Aggressive, pacey fullbacks supporting attacks on their flank, and in defence bursting a gut to get back and form a solid line of 4 with the centre backs. Coming back then to the role of the keeper, this was before the current batch of sweeper keepers we've come to see. Lehmann was known for shouting at his defenders, not really running out to clear up behind them, and so we've gone for a basic goalkeeper defend role here. Lehmann liked to mix it up a bit with his distribution, and at times he looked to distribute the ball fairly quickly, so we have that instruction selected as well. The Gilberto role is best replicated by the central midfielder defend role. It'd be nice if we could tone down the pressing with that role a bit, but the game doesn't allow for it. Vieira's game is one that most would probably lump into the box-to-box role, but for me that'd be a complete waste considering the amount of skill that he had. It wasn't uncommon to see him charging out of the gunner's half and running at the opposition, only to lay a through ball for one of the forwards. The only role I'd give to Vieira in this game is the roaming playmaker role. It's fairly similar to the box-to-box role anyway, but players' efforts in that role are generally a bit more measured. On the right side of midfield, Ljungberg offered bundles of pace and would work himself into the ground for his team. The main part of his game we want to incorporate is the diagonal runs into the box that saw him on the end of more than a few rebounds and crosses. Despite playing on the wing, Ljungberg lacked the skill to dribble with the ball, so we'll be asking him to remove that from his game and focus more on his off the ball movement. In Perez, Bergkamp and Henry, we have the most skillful aspects of the Gunners side. Perez had fantastic ball control and an eye for a pass. He favoured turning inside onto his favoured right foot, which provided space for Cole to take up on the wing. The wide playmaker role should demonstrate the best parts of his game. Bergkamp was the conductor of the side. He looked to drop deep to act as the hook between defence and attack, and many of Arsenal's goals from the 2004 season can be traced back to that tendency. Ideally, I'd like to use the role of deep lying forward here. Sometimes that role doesn't quite drop off enough, so I like to switch between that and the false 9 role. He's been asked to shoot less often as well, to focus on his playmaking instincts rather than trying to create opportunities for himself. Thierry Henry was in the form of his life in the 2004 season. He was the prime example of a complete forward, and that's the role he'll be given in this tactic. As well as a record-breaking knack for goal scoring, he chipped in with more than his fair share of assists as well for his teammates. I've used a support duty here, as Henry was far more likely to be seen running at the opposition defence than trying to break off the shoulder of the centre-back. With the individual instructions taken care of, it's time to look at the tactic in play. First up, we'll see a quick counter-attack down the left through Henry, who's moved out to his infamous wide left position. Next up is a clip that very closely mirrors the fluid one-touch pass and move game that the Gunners played in the opposition half. This next clip is full-on Invincibles. Bergkamp acting as the creative hook, Henry breaking down the left, and Ljungberg finishing off following an energetic run that started from inside his own area. So far the tactic's been pretty successful, and most importantly the team is playing close to the same style as the Invincibles played with. There's some information on key player attributes for the tactic and more on my blog in the description below, so if you like the video, give it a like or share it, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.